Match day 22 is in the books, and it looks like your boys are out of it, Brad. Looks like Chelsea can't catch City this year, man.
Yeah, but y'all can't catch us, so it's all good.
Actually, we can. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight is Brad. He supports Chelsea. And down below us, that is Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. Gentlemen, how we doing today? Sean, I bet you're doing pretty good.
Yeah. Brad, also, they can literally catch you with the games in hand.
Yeah.
Specifically games in hand. They can catch you with that.
Yeah, but one of those games in hand is against you. So, are you already admitting defeat here?
No, I'm just saying. If they happen to win all three of those.
Hold on, Brad. Let me back this up to you. If Arsenal win all three of their games in hand, they'll be even on points with Chelsea. And
score 20 goals.
I said even on points. Points.
I know.
And if Spurs win all of their games in hand, except for the Arsenal game, they'll be ahead of you.
That's a big ask for both teams.
I'm just saying, Brad. Chelsea have not been doing well. We'll get into that. What's going on with Tommy and the boys? I think that's going to be how I refer to them from here on out until Tuchel gets fired in April.
No, we can get the rest of the team. We can literally lose everybody. I'm fine with losing everybody but Tommy and maybe Mace. That's it.
All right, well, we'll see. But if you are listening, you're new here, we really appreciate you tuning in. If you could hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, give us a follow, leave a comment, tell everyone, give us your name, where you're from. No, don't do that. But just, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. We really love hearing from you. If you are a Premier League fan, tell us who you support. If you're a football fan, tell us who you support, things like that. We really love to hear from you because we do talk about your comments. Hit us up with that 5-star review on iTunes if you can, because you don't want anything inconveniencing your life or, your daily routine. Right, Sean?
No, yeah. You don't want a team of about 30 people to have just a couple of injuries and then get scared of your biggest rival. That would be really inconvenient.
Dang.
I mean, it depends on your perspective of who's it's inconvenient for.
That would be really inconvenient to have just a couple of twisted ankles in a game and just have to miss the biggest rival of the year.
Yeah, that's a really strange situation. That'd be really bad if that actually had happened. So I guess everybody out there is probably just 5-starring and hitting that subscribe button. So
yeah, you don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah, it'd be really weird if that did happen. But we continue. So tonight, things we got on offer for you tonight. We're gonna hit those comments from last week before we talk about match week 22. See what happened there, which games were played, which games were postponed, and before we look forward to match week 23 coming up at the weekend. But yeah, so let's jump into these comments. So we had a couple here from Joel, our resident Newcastle aficionado and supporter, and so he disagreed with me in that I don't think newly signed players should be allowed to play in the rearranged fixtures. He believes that newly signed players should be allowed to play. If a team signs 5 players and sells 7, who are they meant to play in the rearranged fixture? Every team will be affected by this. You shouldn't ban a player because he wasn't contracted to play when the fixture happened. I think I made my feelings on that pretty well known last week. I don't know if you guys, if his comment has changed your opinion at all.
It just gets tricky.
I mean, he said what I said, so I agree with him.
Yeah.
It's hard to control.
Go for it, Sean.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just feel like it has to be navigated. If it's a 1-for-1, I don't see why. If it's, if you're Tottenham and you're probably only going to do one signing, then that would be very simple to just hold Traore out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see this come into play potentially in the North. in the North London derby.
It should be monitored, I guess is what I'm saying.
But let's put it this way: if you sell Kane and bring in a defender, then that defender can't play, and you've sold Kane, you can't use Kane. So, I mean, I guess Bergwijn could be your 10. He showed it today, but like that's what like the squad composition is weird. Even if you signed another striker, you couldn't play them in that case, but you lost your best player in Harry Kane.
That to me seems like a you understand what the situation is. Like clearly they can't do this now. They can't retroactively do it, and they would have had to make these rules clear in November. If they wanted to.
Nothing's going to change.
Clearly, it's not going to happen. So clearly, anybody who signs is going to be available to play. Joel's other comment was regarding the Newcastle signings, because last week we decided to get Newcastle's checkbook out and start signing players. And one of the players that I advocated that Newcastle should sign was Jack Wilshere, and he disagreed. He thinks that he would be a bad signing because of his injury history, but he thought that Aaron Ramsey would take Aaron Ramsey in a heartbeat. Jimmy jumped into that conversation. He agreed that he thought Wilshere was not a good signing, that he could only really expect Wilshere to be healthy for about 3 months, but that Newcastle really were looking for veteran players who maybe aren't loved by their team anymore, but aren't past their prime, that can still contribute, things like that. He thought Ramsey was fit that mold pretty well, and he brought up Coutinho. That Coutinho would have fit that mold really well for Newcastle, and that he would be a good signing for Newcastle in the summer if he doesn't sign for Villa permanently.
What about Bale?
Gareth Bale's past his prime. He just wants to play golf.
I don't know, but he also doesn't have a lot on his legs. So, I mean, he showed flashes at Tottenham.
Okay,
it just came to me.
Tell me one of those flashes, because
you came to me.
You don't have any. You don't have any memory of flashes of Bale at Tottenham in the second stint.
I think Bale can help them stay. I think Bale can help them stay up.
I don't know. I don't know if Bale is. I don't know if.
I don't know if he
Bale
wants to do that.
Interested in playing football anymore. I think if he was interested in playing football, he would be playing football.
It's Wales, golf, Madrid. So he's still interested in playing football for Wales.
I don't know. It might be golf, Wales, Madrid at this point. Are Wales qualified for the World Cup? Will they qualify for the World Cup? I don't know. I'd have to look that up, because if they're not, then he
doesn't care.
Yeah, he has zero cares about football.
Can we just marvel at the fact that Bale couldn't be bothered to play football in Madrid, so Brad has him playing in North London.
Where
with
North London
or North England, with heart enough to keep a team out of relegation.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no way.
I don't know what's worse.
He's not trotting out of there.
I don't know what's worse, my take or your geography. So we'll both chalk that up for now.
Just missaid it.
Yeah. Will had a question about this. This is a bit of a spoiler. Maybe Sean teased it earlier, but the North London derby this weekend was postponed. Arsenal petitioned the Premier League to have the North London derby postponed due to an inability to meet the playing requirements and COVID being a factor in that inability to meet the playing requirements. And so Will's question was, in regard to the North London derby, can you explain the rule for postponing games for insufficient players? Yes, it's you need to have 13 outfield players and 1 goalkeeper who are healthy in order to field a team.
I feel like that answer is wrong. The answer is no, we cannot.
But you can, because the rule is 13 outfield players and a goalkeeper. And if you have any COVID, and it's 13 senior outfield players, so it's not academy players. Academy players don't count to it. It's 13 senior outfield players, and if COVID contributes at all to your inability to meet that threshold, then you can petition the Premier League to have the fixture rearranged.
This feels like bogus.
Why?
How do you come up with 13 players? Wait, why is it 13 players? That gives you...
It's 10 outfield players and 3 subs.
Yeah.
And a keeper.
That's just what the Premier League's come up with. I did not come up with this. Is what the Premier League's come up with.
Seems ridiculous.
I think my point was I don't think Odegaard and a couple of injuries prevent you from fielding 13 players and a goalkeeper.
I agree with you. I don't think that the North London derby should have been rearranged. I think Arsenal will materially benefit from this because I don't think that Arsenal would have beaten Spurs with the team that we had available to us at the weekend. I think that if we play this game in 6 weeks, Arsenal will beat Spurs because we'll have our best team available to us. And I think our best team is better than Spurs' best team this year. And we might have a new striker. So, like all of these factors combined, I think it just tips the favor into being better for Arsenal. Now, of course, we could come back in 6 weeks and Arsenal could have even more injuries and no COVID cases, so they can't get the game rearranged again. So, it could be worse for Arsenal in the return. But, yes, I don't think that the game should have been rearranged. But the problem is that the Premier League set this precedent that as long as COVID, they've never said that you have to have so many number of COVID cases. It's just you have to have COVID has to be a contributing factor into why you can't field a team. So we played Liverpool in the Carabao Cup on last Thursday. And we picked up 3 or 4 injuries. Granit Xhaka had that red card, which was spectacular. And so he's suspended. And then injuries plus AFCON plus Odegaard's singular COVID result was enough for us to not have 13 senior outfield players. Now, I wonder about that because we have such a young squad. I wonder if Arsenal were considering players like Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli as senior players or not. That's something I'd be interested in looking at, is what was classified as a senior player.
Yeah, because you can check those designations.
Exactly. I should go back and look at that because that would be super spicy if these players who are clearly first choice players for Arsenal, but because they're 20 years old, they don't count as senior players in the designation. That would be interesting. I should have looked that up, but it just came to me. But that was the question. Will went on to say, he understands that there are rules for COVID, but Arsenal only had 1 COVID case and apparently a mystery case after the decision. How is it not their responsibility to have sufficient players to field a team? If a team picks up too many injuries, do they just get to wait until after their players recovered to play their games? The AFCON absences were not unexpected. Can a team sign a bunch of African nationals and just take a break every other January? How does this make any sense? Obviously, the Premier League wants to play all the games, and they don't want the North London derby to be senior teams versus a bunch of youth players. But allowing this makes no sense for me from a competitive perspective. I agree. And I think the three of us agree on that. I think, Sean, you were saying that ideally the Premier League wants the North London derby to be Arsenal's best 11 versus Spurs' best 11.
Yeah, that's the best that's best for the Lion.
Yeah.
That for the Shield, or however you want to say it, how the NFL calls the Shield, the crest. Yeah. That's the best thing for the Premier League.
Yeah,
especially Chelsea City, Liverpool United, Arsenal Tottenham, those games, you don't care if you're fielding first 11s in Burnley Norwich.
Yeah.
But when you get those primetime drawing eyeballs, selling advertisement games, you want those to be the best possible.
Yeah.
You don't
want a game like a game that like the North London derby. I think you can make an argument that the North London derby is one of the most important games on the English fixture calendar. I think it's up there with the Merseyside derby, with the Manchester United Liverpool match. I think that's all relative. I think you can make an argument that the North London derby is the most important game on the fixture list in a year. I think you can make that argument, Brad.
Yeah, I don't know if you would win it, but yeah.
Okay,
I think United Liverpool wins, but yeah.
Maybe, or the Merseyside derby. I think it's a toss-up between those 3 fixtures as the most important fixtures on the English calendar.
Well, I'll accept that. Being English, hey Joel, we need you to weigh in on this one.
True. That's a fair point.
My acceptance is okay or not. If not, then Joel, please correct us on what are the most important fixtures besides Newcastle versus Southampton. It's not even the rival.
Sunderland.
Sunderland. I also would have said earlier, I will gladly have taken the 3 points on the weekend, but it would have felt cheap to me as well.
See, and I think the inverse. I think when Arsenal win this game in 6 weeks, when we have our first team, I'm going to feel dirty about it. I'm going to take the 3 points. I'm
going to feel cheap.
But you're going to feel cheated, and I think you'll be fully. I think that'll be a fully reasonable take for you to have. Like if in 6 weeks Arsenal beat Spurs with their first 11, like with Thomas Partey back, like we were expecting to miss Thomas Partey for at least 2 Premier League matches, but now that Ghana has been eliminated, he's already back in London. Like the dude did not miss a single Premier League match. So
huge.
Yeah, that's huge for Arsenal because he's the engine to our midfield. But yeah, so I did leave Will a more lengthy comment on our YouTube comments, more lengthy response, I should say. But yeah, it's essentially 13 outfield players, 1 goalkeeper. If COVID plays any role in your inability to meet that threshold, then you can petition. I think that they're definitely going to need to figure out what they're doing over the summer for next season, or teams will continue to abuse this situation, or will continue to use it.
I described the process because I know a few American sports more in depthly than I know you two guys and probably a lot of our listeners. But the contact tracing for NFL teams, because they make so much money and the clubs make so much, they can teams to do this. All of the staff and all of the players, when they are in a team facility, have to wear contact tracing bracelets. So that way, when someone tests positive, they can go to the computer and it'll tell you how long, how close people were to that person. And then you can take the most aggressively or the most impacted people in your roster that those people. So if you had 1 COVID positive in your entire building, you can grab those people who have the highest risk to also be positive, sit them down automatically. So then that's the next 4 people in line or whatever the case may be. And now you have 5 people that aren't allowed to come back into the building until they prove a negative test. And I feel like Premier League probably has enough money to make them do that.
I don't know
in some clubs.
I don't know what contact tracing and what COVID protocols they're doing at the Premier League clubs. I know they're testing very frequently. They're doing like lateral flow tests very frequently and things like that. But I mean, honestly, with this new, I'm not going to make that comment because we don't need to get into the weeds about COVID.
I just feel like that's a good way to monitor that, because if it was just Smith Rowe and he wasn't around, if it was just Odegaard and he wasn't around anybody, there's no grounds that the COVID impacted your ability. But if he was,
no, you're misunderstanding what I mean by impacted the availability. It took the number of available Arsenal outfield players below 13. So that's what I mean by so Odegaard's COVID
below the threshold. They were below the threshold. And that's what it was. It was.
Say Arsenal have 20 senior outfield players. They had 6 players. They had four players missing from AFCON. So now that's down to 16. They had four injuries. Or something like that. 4 injuries. Now 3 injuries. Now they're down to 13. And then Odegaard's positive COVID test. Now they're down to 12 senior outfield players. COVID then played a role in their inability to meet the 13-player threshold. So it's not that like contact tracing eliminated certain players. It's just that like there was one of the players who is unable to play is COVID positive. If Odegaard was just injured, then Arsenal wouldn't have had any grounds. And they would have had to fill in with academy players. So
yeah, it just seems very gray.
Yeah, I think that they're going to need to come together, and I think the clubs all recognize this. Thomas Tuchel's been talking about it. Conte's been talking about it. Arteta was talking about it weeks ago. Like Klopp's been talking about it. So all the managers know, and they understand the situation. Bielsa's been talking about it. So like something's going to need to be done this summer to shore up the rules.
Let me tell you who's not talking about it. Can't get relegated if you don't play any games. Burnley. Burnley's coach has been quiet as a mouse. Yeah, y'all go ahead and just keep postponing them, baby. We're gonna win the title with games in hand, bitch.
Bro. Chelsea have played 23 matches. Chelsea have played the most matches in the Premier League this season.
We haven't had a single game postponed because of COVID.
They have played 6 less games than Chelsea.
It's insane. Let's
All right.
Do
the math. If they win all 6, they are in
ninth. They're in ninth. 29 points.
They're in ninth if they win all their games.
And chances of it happening?
It's very, very low. So let's do that. Let's jump into the Premier League. Let's look at the table real quick. We'll get that pulled up for you, just so everyone can see what we're talking about here. But first position, we got Manchester City. They're on 56 points. Second position is Liverpool on 45. They have a game in hand on City. Chelsea, again, played 23. They're on 44 points. West Ham are currently in 4th on 37 points. Tottenham are back up to 5th on 36 points. They overtook Arsenal today when they won. They beat Leicester 3-2 miraculously. Arsenal are in 6th on 35 points. Sean's taking issue to that, and we'll get into that in a minute. United are up to 7th on 35 points, equal on points with Arsenal, below them on goal difference. Arsenal have a game in hand on them. Wolves are on 31 points in 8th. Brighton and Hove are in 9th on 29 points. Leicester are in 10th on 25 points. Palace are in 11th on 24 points. Southampton are in 12th on 24 points. Villa are in 13th on 23. Brentford, also on 23 points, are in 14th. Leeds are in 15th on 22 points. Everton are in 16th on 19 points. Watford are still in 17th on 14 points. Norwich City are in 18th. They're up to 18th. They were previously last, but now they're up to 18th on 13 points. They got a victory. And then Newcastle United are in 19th still on 12 points, and Burnley are in 20th on 11 points. Again, I don't know the last time Burnley played a Premier League match. It was probably weeks ago. Weeks ago. Someone look that up for me. Brad, look that up for me find out when the last time Burnley played in the Premier League. Because it's
January 2nd.
Okay, so they played on January 2nd. Before January 2nd, when was the last time they played?
December 30th, but before that was December 12th.
Yeah, okay, so they had all of December off.
Yeah. And they played Saturday, and they in the FA Cup, they lost to Huddersfield. They were one of the Premier League clubs that lost.
Well, that's because in the FA Cup, they said play or you get eliminated.
Yeah.
There was no, can we postpone this? It was play or be eliminated. And I would imagine it's play or eliminated and be fined. But
and if they get to play their games, that's a rough schedule coming up. I'm going to preview a little bit. It'll be Arsenal, United, Liverpool, back to back to back.
Yeah,
that's rough.
If you pull up the Premier League website, it'll show you fixtures to be played. So they need to play Villa, Spurs, Everton, Leicester, Watford. Yeah. So those are the teams that they haven't played.
So Brad, that was just their schedule.
Yeah, that's just their normal schedule, Brad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Their normal schedule, even they're not talking the makeup games, just their next games. I mean, out of those, you can maybe say 3 points. There's a chance against Watford, but the rest of those are L's.
Yeah, they lose to Leicester, they lose to Everton, they lose to Spurs, they lose to Villa.
Maybe Everton. Depends on how free-falling Everton is. I think Everton gets their stuff together now, but we'll see.
We'll talk about Everton here in a minute because they had some stuff going on. So let me throw you match week 22. What happened in match week 22? So on Friday, we had Brighton and Hove hosting Palace. That game ended in a 1-1 draw. Saturday morning kicked off with the City-Chelsea match. City wins that game 1-0, effectively ending Chelsea's title bid. Burnley and Leicester. We're talking about Burnley. Postponed. Newcastle Watford played to a 1-1 draw. That's probably better for Watford than it is for Newcastle. But that's not
I don't think it's good for either one.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's good for either one either. I think it's bad for both of them, but it's probably a little bit less bad for Watford. Norwich beat Everton 2-1 and sealed the fate of Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez has been sacked as the Everton first team coach, manager, whatever his title was, I'm not sure. Maybe he was the first team coach manager. I'm not sure, but he has been sacked. He's been relieved of his duties. So the Everton are now looking for a new manager. Wolves hosted Southampton, beat them 3-1. I don't think hosted is a word. Villa and United played to a 2-2 draw. Liverpool host Brentford on Sunday. They defeated Brentford 3-0. West Ham and Leeds. Leeds beat West Ham 3-2 at the City of London Stadium. And then the North London Derby, meant to be the capstone of the weekend, was of course postponed. So that needs to be rescheduled. We also had 4 makeup games that were scheduled on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Burnley hosting Watford. Adroit listeners will remember that if it's Burnley, it means it was postponed. Brighton and Chelsea play to a 1-1 draw, further cementing Chelsea's inability to catch City. Leicester and Spurs. Spurs somehow win 3-2. And then Brentford, Manchester United were down to Brentford and they beat them 3-1. But by all accounts, Brentford played really well in that game. And it's surprising that they lost. I didn't watch it because I was watching the Spurs game. I was paying more attention to the Spurs game than the United game. So I can't really speak to how well Brentford played. But yeah, those were the games that happened. We will get to that Leicester Spurs game today that happened today. But we're going to wait on that in a minute because we got some other games to talk about. Let's talk about that City Chelsea game, Brad. What'd you think about it?
It was a scrappy game. It was one moment of magic from De Bruyne. You can't give De Bruyne any space anywhere close to the box. And what probably should have been a foul, like Conte bodied him. He stayed up, found space, and took the shot before Thiago could get out there. So, it is what it is. On other days, we've beaten City playing the same exact style. We just couldn't connect up front. I need Tuchel to pick 3, and those are the 3 that start up front.
Well, the problem
is
it. Your boy Lukaku had a beautiful opportunity to score.
Had a couple of beautiful opportunities to score.
So
he had 6 touches in the game.
Yeah, and every single one of those the 6 touches,
there was
4 of them were close.
There was one opportunity.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the game. I watched analysis on the game. So
okay.
I watched professionals breaking down the game, and after the breaking down the game, they broke down that, and why that was because you got suffocated by their press and could not break it, and you could not get the ball to him in any sort of dangerous position.
So I watched the first half of that game, and then I took my son to his soccer class. But I when I was watching that game, I was amazed at how calm each team seemed. So whenever Arsenal play City, it seems like Arsenal are frenetically doing things and they can't get a touch and they're just they're hoping after the ball and things like that. But it seemed like Chelsea were very calm in the way that they were playing. It didn't seem that they were put off by City's press in the first half. But equally so, it looked like City were just out there passing the ball around. That they were Chelsea, they can't get to us. They can't touch us. It looked to me that City were able to do whatever they wanted in the game. And Chelsea were doing a good job of absorbing that. But also when they got the ball, which seemed infrequent in the first half, they were able to play calmly with the ball.
Yeah, we didn't have any connection to move the ball forward consistently. It was all counterattacks. And you're probably right, Sean. Their press was very well done, but we also absorbed a ton of their stuff without them coming really close. So it had to be a De Bruyne worldie to get them to make this not 0-0. Because we did a great job of suffocating their pass into the box and around the box. They had a couple of chances. They had a couple of really good chances. Sterling had 1 or 2. And De Bruyne's shot, of course, was magic. But we did the job that we were supposed to do, in that on 3 out of these 5 times that we've played them playing the same exact way, we've won. So Yeah, Lukaku up front, I was kind of skeptical. Like, I feel like a Pooley false nine or a Werner false nine gives us like a Werner up front, gives us that push at the end to be able to run back like on the counter. I think Pulisic is probably the better play, but I'm not mad if it's Werner Havertz up front.
That's
either.
Fantastic to me that you're arguing your £100 million striker is not the player that is going to break down City.
In this style of game that we were playing, no. Lukaku doesn't press as much as Werner and Havertz. Werner and Havertz keep running. Lukaku wants to run when they have the ball.
Yeah, I think brings up a more interesting situation. Lukaku, is he the right fit for Thomas Tuchel?
It's a great question. I don't know. I think Tuchel can figure out a way of using him. I think Tuchel was like, "Hey, I need a striker. We need a goal scorer," and they're like, "Cool. These are the people available. Haaland isn't available, but I got you Lukaku." Lukaku.
How much was Haaland this summer?
200.
Was it 200 last summer?
If you weren't saying 200, Dortmund wasn't talking to you.
But didn't he have a buyout clause last summer?
No, his buyout clause is active this summer for 75.
Okay.
So he's going somewhere, and I think Chelsea might even be in the race for that too. Like, if
that would be a farce. That would be an absolute farce.
Why not? What do you mean? We didn't spend any money this summer. Like, I don't know if you guys still realize, like,
I'm not having a net spend. I'm not having a net spend conversation with a Chelsea fan.
There is no war chest.
I am not having this conversation.
Like, the war chest is still wide open for Tuchel. We need cover at right wing and left wing. Like, that's 100% obvious.
Whether he can't score a goal or not, your better two options to go with Lukaku in that particular game, not my idea, by the way, would have been Werner with Mount in the middle.
I agree. Mount not playing.
Mount has great in passes because Lukaku, despite being able to play with his back to goal, doesn't like it, and it's not when he's at his best. He's at his best when he's splitting the defenders and hitting the channels, and Mount hits those.
Yep.
And then also, if you have Werner right beside him, Werner's pulling defenders because that's what he does. He occupies defenders very, very, very well.
I 1,000% agree with that take. Like, I think that should have been our front three.
It seemed like
and then if you needed to replace Werner because he burns out, then bring in Pulisic and it does similar things. You're 100% correct, Sean, and I agree. But I don't know if that necessarily changes the game though.
I don't think Ziyech and Pulisic are the answer because they do the same thing. They cut in and like to challenge defenders.
No, I kind of disagree with you. Ziyech could do it if Ziyech's on form and able to play into the passes that he can on that left foot is magical, but he's not necessarily a forward. He fits better in like a 4-3-3 as like a right-sided midfielder that like cuts in with his left foot, hits it across channel, and is a perfect run.
But to Sean's point about Pulisic does like to get the ball and carry it and attack defenders with the ball at his feet.
Pulisic, he was correct. Yes, Pulisic, you're 100% correct. Like, that's what he does. He attacks defenders and he attacks the defense. That's how he pushes them back. Werner does it with his pace. So that's why I'm saying, like, those two you can switch and it does similar things. Not totally, but similar things. And I think not playing Mount was a huge mistake. But again, like, guys, we've lost 4 times this season. That's it. Twice to City, which
is pretty damning.
Yeah, but it's not the 1-0, 2-1-0 losses to City isn't terrible. Like, is it?
True.
The loss to West Ham is probably the most shocking, but that was, again, 3-2 off of like a shot that should have been like, that was a cross that everybody thought was a cross. And even the guy who shot it was like, oh, it went in? Okay, we're going to celebrate now. And then to Juventus, again, 1-0. Like, there's no reason to panic. There's absolutely no reason to panic.
Let me present a reason to panic, though. What happens when it's end of March and Chelsea are in 5th? What happens at that point? You guys come back from the Club World Cup. You're in 5th, and Thomas Tuchel still has this rift or whatever with Lukaku. Like, what happens?
The club and the players, for once, the players were like, he went to the senior players and was like, hey, what do y'all think? This is what I'm thinking of doing with Lukaku because of this interview. What do y'all think? And they're like, yes, let's do that. We're on your side. So it's a completely different atmosphere than most Chelsea managers have, right? Beforehand, if this was happening, oh, you're gone. You don't have a chance. But the club backed him and the players backed him. So we're not having those, like, if this was happening and when it was Lampard, you started hearing whispers like, hey, you should get your shit together or you're going to go. And you started hearing more and more from the players that, hey, this isn't working. Hey, why is he not starting me and getting mad about it? We're not hearing those.
Okay.
So that's why I think this situation is different than others.
Let me throw something at you. It's a name. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the person. His name is Roman Abramovich.
Yeah. He likes trophies.
He likes winning things. And he likes being in the Champions League. Yes, you guys are still competing on four fronts. Okay, so what happens if you guys crash out of the Champions League? And you crash out of the Champions League, who cares? You guys can win the Carabao Cup. Nobody gets the Mickey Mouse trophy. Nobody cares about it. So we'll give that to you. So Tuchel can have that one. But like I think that Tuchel's on thin ice because Roman Abramovich has fired managers for significantly less.
That's 3 trophies in a year.
Okay. I still think that Tuchel's on thin ice.
He's still winning. I think I disagree here. We'll find out who's right, but I think we disagree here.
Do you think that Abramovich lets Tuchel miss the Champions League? Because I don't.
That's the hard part. Is if we finish 5th and are out of the Champions League, that's rough. I think out of top 4 might be hard, but let's see what it looks like, right?
I'm just saying, I think my job is to create content for a podcast, so I have to ask this question.
I agree. I top 4 makes top 4. I will, if we are outside of the top 4 at the end of the season, I will say yes, he is on thin ice. But if we're in the FA Cup final, we've won the Carabao Cup, we're in the FA Cup final, we've won the Club World Cup, which we should win, right? That's 4 trophies in a year. Like, I don't think you can fire a manager that brought 4 trophies, even if they're all Mickey Mouse trophies. He brought 4 trophies in a year. So like, that's hard, but I understand because it's Chelsea. But also, like, Tuchel is right. We've played a game about every 72 to 84 hours. We've been kicking a ball in a professional game with no postponements. That, like, no breaks.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
Let me count the games here.
I mean, Arsenal have had 1 well, no, we've had 2.
And you've played every 5-ish days, like a little bit more than 5 days.
Only because we didn't have European football.
Right, you and Spurs and City have all played on an average of 5-ish games. 5-ish days is your game.
We've been going on about this for a while, so I'm just going to put an exclamation point on it. In Chelsea's last 14 Premier League games.
Oh, interesting.
They have won 4 of them.
Yes.
It's not good.
That's the run of form that me and James are saying is not great now.
Yeah.
You're putting up points. Most of them are draws, but we haven't lost. Yeah, you lost like 3 of those.
So
2 to City. Yeah. Oh, you counting the Juventus? Okay.
I'm not counting the Juve game. But we're moving on from Chelsea. Well, let's quickly touch on this Newcastle Watford game if you guys want to, just because of the implications it has on the relegation battle. Because Newcastle, this was a good opportunity for Newcastle to pick up points on someone around them, and I think the reason why we fixate to Newcastle is because of the ownership group, right? That being sold to the Saudis and them having all of this new money, and like, what are the expectations for this club, and like they were sold and bought in like October, so like clearly the new ownership group couldn't do anything yet. They brought Eddie Howe in. who I think was a safe manager in case they got relegated to be hired, because he can navigate the championship. But like this is a fixture that like they definitely wanted to win, and it leaves them like 2 points behind Watford, but Watford have a game in hand on them, so effectively it could be 5 points. Now Watford are pretty garbage. So
we'll say 3 points. They might get a draw.
Yeah.
We'll be optimistic.
Yeah, but if we look at this relegation situation, just quickly touch on it. Burnley have 17 games played with 11 points. I'm not optimistic about Burnley's ability to take many points from the 6 games that they have in hand. I don't know if you guys feel differently about that. But I'm equally not optimistic about Newcastle's ability to take many points over the next 18 matches. Or like nothing that they've shown me over the first 20 matches indicates to me that they are really keen to pick up significantly more points over the second half of the season. So like that's kind of a worrying result in my opinion. If you think that like Newcastle might have been turning the corner or something like that, I think this result against Watford is indication that they have not yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they win, they're out of the relegation zone for the first time.
Yeah,
like that would have been huge, as a huge morale boost. This L, I think, probably puts them down,
even though it was a draw. Yep.
I think a draw is an L for them in this matchup. Like this was a dub that needed to happen, and it was a great goal. Did you guys see the goal, St. Maximin? Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
It was. I feel like I did see it, but it's been a minute. So like,
goes in, cuts back out, like nutmegs a player, and shoots it upper 90. It was gorgeous, and Newcastle played very well until Watford had their break and popped one in.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a mentality thing for Newcastle. If they just have kind of like a fragile mentality, and I don't know. It's hard to speak to.
Yeah, they had pretty good service. Trippier definitely shored up things. Like Trippier had a huge impact on this, and he was beating in some nice crosses. I just didn't see Chris Wood get himself on any of them, but like it was a well played game. Trippier did a lot more for the defense than I thought like that would happen.
Yeah, I've never really rated Trippier as much.
I'm not a big fan either, but yeah,
it's maybe my Arsenal bias, and he's a Spurs guy. Maybe that's why I don't rate him. That's a legitimate statement. Maybe that's the reason why I don't like him. But I think it'll be interesting. I'm not personally ready to relegate Newcastle yet. I don't know if I chose them to be relegated. I feel like you guys did on the sheets. We'd have to double check that, but I don't know if I chose them to be relegated or not.
I'm pretty sure the bottom 3 are the 3 that Sean and I chose.
No. Yeah, none of them. Nobody picked Newcastle.
Nobody picked Newcastle to be relegated.
I didn't pick Newcastle.
Yeah, so
nobody had Newcastle.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm not ready to relegate them yet, but that seems like a worrying result. Looking at this Norwich Everton game, Norwich pick up a win, and so that takes them out of 20th up into 18th. But more interestingly, it gets Everton move on from Rafa Benitez. They sacked him like the next day. That day, and it was announced on the Sunday. I want to
present.
What was that, Sean?
I want to present it has been floated.
Okay.
That Lampard is in the running.
I believe that's
true. I have a 3-way Venn diagram. It's not showing up.
Oh yeah, I've seen
this. There we go. So these are top right. Frank Lampard thinks he's too good for these teams. That would be Norwich, Watford, Burnley, and the desk. Sky bet. Too good to hire Lampard. So these two overlap side to side. That would be West Ham, Chelsea, and United firmly in the too good to hire, and then Arsenal and Tottenham being the overlap, which means that Frank thinks he's too good, and they are actually too good to hire him.
Yep.
And then the bottom Venn diagram is too sensible to hire Frank Lampard, which would be Leeds firmly in. It's Leeds, Southampton, Palace, and Villa, and then overlap to actually too good to hire Liverpool, Brighton, and too sensible. Brighton, Wolves, Leicester, City, Liverpool, and then the one that goes over to too sensible, but Frank thinks he's too good would be Brentford.
Yeah.
So that only leaves who could actually hire Frank Lampard as Everton and Newcastle.
When I saw that, I thought it was super humorous.
It was very good.
I think Wayne Rooney is also in the running to be the next Everton coach.
Yep.
Which should be
And
interesting.
Jose.
No, Jose's apparently not interested.
Right, but Jose was on their 4-man list. I think it was Lamps, Rooney, Jose, and I don't know the fourth.
Roberto Martinez.
Yes, yep, Martinez, yep. Who Belgium doesn't want to let go because it's a World Cup year.
And Everton apparently don't want to pay the $2 million or €2 million release fee to Belgium.
Right. Yep.
I don't blame Belgium for that. Because like this is like the last run that Belgium really have with this generation of players, or at least that's the way they feel.
Yeah.
But I will say, I thought at the beginning of the season, I was pretty high on Rafa Benitez. I thought that he was going to do good things for Everton Football Club, and that they would not be in the predicament that they are in now. I still think that Rafa is a legit Premier League manager, and that he knows the league very well, and that he's a good manager. So I'm not sure what went wrong at Everton for him. Maybe this is a super secret Liverpool agent, Rafa Benitez, trying to get Everton relegated. That's the meme on the internet, at least. But yeah, I expected a lot more from Everton this year.
I think everybody did, but also like this team was built for a completely different manager, and he also didn't have the funds that other manager had to rebuild the team.
But
I think Gray cost him like 1.2 mil, and he's been their best player.
The thing about the funds is interesting to me because they have a billionaire owner.
Right, but how much they can spend and show a profit? Because for you can spend about like 200 to 250 mil for 4 years in a row, and go into the negative all 4 of those years. And the 5th year is when you have to fix it, and that's why they didn't spend a ton this year.
The thing is, if Newcastle can spend 200 million, then Everton can easily spend 250. In my opinion, I don't know. Maybe I don't know the financials of both those clubs, but yes, like Newcastle could have spent, Everton could have spent more money if they wanted to.
Yeah, but they had to sell to buy.
That doesn't fit with your narrative of
because like your net spend had to be they had to sell to buy.
The argument you just made was that you could spend 200 million every summer for 4 years and still
they did that.
They didn't spend $800 billion in one summer, or $800 million in one summer.
They've spent 800 million in the past 4 summers.
Show me the math.
I'll find it.
That is not true.
We'll talk about it. I'll find it.
All right. Brad's going to put on Twitter Everton's transfer market over the last 4 years and how they spent 800 million. Brad's going to throw that up there on Twitter for you guys. So go when he puts that on Twitter, you guys check it out. But yeah, so Rafa's been sacked. It sounds like it's going to be either Wayne Rooney or Frank Lampard, because Martinez, I think, is their preferred, but that doesn't seem like that's going to happen, which is weird because Martinez did manage Everton for a couple years and he did not do well. Villa and United play to a 2-2 draw. That's an interesting result because United were up 2-0 and Steven Gerrard brings on Philippe Coutinho, new signing for Villa, and Philippe Coutinho gets a goal and an assist in his debut for Aston Villa to rescue a point for Villa. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Brad or Sean. I think it's kind of I think it's kind of interesting because Philippe Coutinho has this whole like Liverpool, like it seems like Stevie G is getting the gang back together at Villa. There's apparently a rumor that he wants to sign Luis Suarez in the summer because Atletico aren't going to renew him. So it kind of seems like he's getting the gang back together at Villa, and Villa seem very willing to spend the money for Gerrard and get the players that he wants. But yeah, I mean, like, do we think that this is just like an aberration, or do you guys think that Philip Coutinho is really going to be legit for Villa?
I kind of want to wait to see because you can't go against what happened in Barca. Like he didn't play a ton, and when he did play, it wasn't very effective. So, and playing in the league is a lot easier than playing in the Prem. It's different. It's 100% different, but it's not as physical. It's more laid back. So, like, I mean, maybe Coutinho's built for physicality, but I've never seen that from his style of play.
Yeah, what I go back to, and I think this is going to be more of an aberration than a trend for Coutinho, is just that I think if you look at his past like 4 seasons since he's left Liverpool, he hasn't consistently been playing good football. He spent a year at Bayern Munich, sandwiched in between a couple years at Barcelona, and he hasn't really shown anywhere near the levels that he was showing when he played for Liverpool. So to me, it seems that it's unlikely. I'm very hesitant to believe that he will be a good signing for Villa.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this loan works out and if the loan means they buy him. So yeah. I'm unsure. So I guess I have to wait a week or two to give you my answer on this.
Fair. What do you guys think about this this West Ham Leeds game? So Leeds beat West Ham 3-2. West Ham have not been on a good run of form recently. Over the last couple weeks, they haven't picked up a lot of points. Let's look at their form. Now they did so they have a loss, 3 wins, and a loss over their last 5. But it seems that if we go back beyond the 5th game, I think that they had a couple draws and losses before that. If we look at their run of form on like 10 or so games. But like they were firmly entrenched in that 4th position. They had sole control over it, things like that. Like there were, like they would have to lose matches in order to lose it, and they have lost many matches recently. And so now Arsenal and Tottenham and even United to a degree are all poised to overtake them. But if we asked this conversation at the beginning of December, it would have been a completely different conversation about West Ham.
Oh yeah.
Is this more that West Ham is coming back to what they should be, their average, that they were outperforming in the first half of the season, and this is kind of bringing them back to where they should be? Or is this just like a blip and that they will get it right? What do you guys think?
They might be spent. This is their run from November. So okay. they beat Liverpool.
Yep.
Lost to Wolves. Match day 5 in the Europa. Lost to City. Drew Brighton. Beat Chelsea, so they got up for Liverpool-Chelsea. Match day 6, draw Burnley, lose to Arsenal, EFL Cup, lose to Southampton, beat Watford, beat Crystal Palace, FA Cup, beat Norwich, lost to Leeds. Like so, it was compact.
It seems like up and down.
Compacted up and down, and they're trying to get up and. Trying to get up, trying to get down. Lost to Zagreb in match day 6.
Because aren't they're out of the Europa League, aren't they?
Yeah.
No. It's like Leicester.
No,
it's Leicester.
Leicester's out.
West Ham's through. It's Leicester that's out. Yeah.
They're still. But that week they went December 1st, 4th, 9th, 12th, 15th, and in that was draw to Brighton. 4th was Chelsea win. Then midweek lose to Zagreb. Then draw Burnley, lose to Arsenal, and that was all between the 1st to 15th.
Yeah,
that's 5 games, and since then that's when it's been gotten a little dicey.
Yeah,
like maybe they're spent.
I think what we're seeing here is squad depth, right? Like West Ham doesn't have the squad depth to play midweek games. We're seeing it all, like the whole table. This is why City pulls away in November, December, January. It's because the fixtures get so tight, and City can literally, besides Ederson, they can line up 2 full 11 2 starting 11s or starting 10s, sorry, and be in every single match, if not win it.
Zach Steffen's no slump either. Like he's not Ederson, but he's a very capable goalkeeper.
Right. Yeah, totally.
To your point, what I'm saying. After that 5-game stretch, they went into Christmas. That was 22nd, 26th, 28th, January 1st.
Yeah, like everybody's
Where
playing
their next
matches
one.
every 3 days. So that's when City shows their strength, and that's why City pulls away now. Like if you can, so we'll see coming out of all this craziness once everybody has a break and doesn't have to play every midweek, which I guess you guys will have to play every midweek, and depending on how Europe goes, we'll play. But you guys will have to be making up games, so City pulls even further away, and I think that's what we're seeing here. And West Ham is their first, I think, Europa League, so I don't in a while, so I don't think they have the squad depth to be able to play both those games, all those games. And you get an injury like Declan was out for a few of those games, for a couple of those games. That's a huge player, or at least one of them. I know he missed at least one game from there. But like you can't replace Suchek. You can't replace Antonio. Antonio's been injured in December.
Yeah.
He's come back now, but he was injured. So like you don't have Jesus that you can just plug in and be like, cool, we're good to go. Let's run it. Or Mahrez.
I think that's the point about. I remember hearing Tim Howard talk about David Moyes and West Ham on NBC's coverage one day, and he's like, they have a small squad, but like David Moyes will convince that squad to run through a wall for him. But the problem is that at a certain point, the wall is still a wall. Moving on, I'm going to quickly say one thing about the Mickey Mouse Cup. Liverpool and Arsenal are playing the return fixture in tomorrow on Thursday. It was a 0-0 draw at Anfield after Granit Xhaka's 27th minute red card. He decided to kick Diego Jota in the chest, like toe to his sternum. Even though it didn't look like he touched Jota that hard, like it looked like Diego made a meal of it, which of course he's supposed to do. And Granit Xhaka's foot should be nowhere near someone's chest, but still, it's hilarious that it's Granit Xhaka. It's always Granit Xhaka. And there was some interesting news about Granit Xhaka today that we might talk about in the future, but we're not going to get into it tonight. Check out The Athletic and their reporting about potential investigation about suspicious betting. But
it made it to BBC also, so it's free on BBC.
That's all we're talking about with the Mickey Mouse Cup. We'll find out who Chelsea get in the final tomorrow.
Well, hold on, I have a question.
Sure.
If Arsenal somehow make it past Liverpool, make it past Chelsea, is it still Mickey Mouse Cup?
Yeah, this is Mickey Mouse
Even
Cup.
if Arsenal wins it,
Absolutely. Oh, hey, Cat.
okay.
Bye, Cat.
I just wanted that on record.
Cat. Excuse me. I'm being assaulted by my cat. Hope he didn't.
So I just wanted that on record that the Mickey Mouse Cup would still be a Mickey Mouse Cup if Arsenal win.
100% Mickey Mouse Cup, even if Arsenal win it.
Because Jose said the Europa League is a Mickey Mouse Cup until he won it. And he's like, no, that's the best trophy ever. What are you talking about? I always said that.
That's Jose, though, for you. Let's look at match week 23. I don't know if any of these games have been postponed yet or what, but we've got... So match week 23 kicks off with Watford and Norwich on Friday, Everton Villa on Saturday morning, Brentford Wolves, Leeds Newcastle, United are hosting West Ham United, Southampton hosts City. On Sunday, Arsenal host Burnley, and then we've got, if that game gets played, we'll see.
It's not.
Then we've got
They're gonna be playing rescheduled games till August. Is what's gonna happen.
Palace are hosting Liverpool, Leicester are hosting Brighton, and the capstone for the weekend is Chelsea and Spurs. That'll be a spicy one. That'll be good.
We're not even going to be able to draw for Champions League because there's going to be so many games that need to be rescheduled that we don't know who the top four is.
And Burnley's going to have enough points in hand that like they could make the top four.
They could make it.
I don't even know if that's true. I mean, like, of course it's true. Actually, I don't know if it'll be true.
I don't know.
I don't know if you've picked up 17 games, you have 11 points. Even if you don't play another match, what does that leave you? Like 19 games left. So just under, it's like 57 points that you could get. So it's 68 points. I don't think that 68 points will get you in the Champions League this year.
But it might get you into Europe, though.
It might get you in Europe. It might get you into Europe. It might get you to Europe. Probably will get you to Europe. I don't know about the Champions League, though.
And it's not your notes here that the international break, winter break, not a break. You're out of the FA Cup. So that's why you don't know what happens on February 5th.
Is there an FA Cup match on February 5th?
That's FA Cup weekend.
But if we look at the calendar, Brad, so we have games on the 22nd, 23rd. Are there no games on the weekend of the 29th and 30th?
Well, I guess not. I guess there is a small break here.
There is a break.
There is a small break here.
Yeah. There's some level.
I think it's international.
I looked at the international schedule last week, like the FIFA calendar, and it's not listed on the FIFA calendar. I think that there might be friendlies this week, but I think that this might just be like the Premier League winter break, the mythical winter break. I'm not really sure how to classify it, but we don't have Premier League football again until the 8th of February.
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's a break to get Arsenal healthy before the North London Derby is rescheduled.
Perfect. Get everybody back.
That's what it is.
Sign Deuce.
Hey, the Prem just wants Xhaka versus Dyer. That's all they want.
Lord Almighty, we were almost saved from that. Who knows?
Double red card is happening. It's gonna be 10 versus 10. Oh, I'm so excited for this now. I want that to happen,
guys.
As a neutral, that's what we need to cheer for.
Xhaka might be joining Prison FC. We never know.
I would love them to just slide so aggressively into each other that both of them get a red for the play.
Yes, at once. Like they both do a high kick or something stupid.
That would be the pinnacle.
Gosh.
Oh,
the pinnacle of both of those players.
Oh, both of them.
They're both of them high kick and they both hit each other.
Like karate kick them.
You have to red both. I would frame that picture.
We would probably replace our logo for like 3 weeks if that ever happens. Yeah. I have the Twitter stuff, so it's going to happen. If that happens, if they both get a red card on the same play, that's going to be our header and our profile picture. I don't know if it's ever happened before, but
I mean, I imagine it's happened in like a fight where like two players like got into a fist fight and like were like legitimately like hockey fighting each other. But I don't know if two players have been sent off on like a non like fisticuffs moment.
Yeah.
Now I could see Eric Dyer and Granit Xhaka throwing hands at each other. I could see that happening, but
that's definitely more likely. But I don't put anything back past the wonders that is Granit Xhaka and Eric Dyer.
It's going to be a moment when these players no longer play for our clubs. It's going to be a moment.
It is. We're going to be sad. We're not going to have the memes. But going back to match week 23, we're not. Chelsea Spurs. It's the third time we've played this month, so I'm not going to pick that as my game to watch. My game to watch is going to be Leicester Brighton. I think that's going to be a really good game.
Brad, literally no one cares about what you want to watch. They all care about what James's pick of the week is.
I know. I was trying to get you there.
I forgot.
James, what's your pick? I was trying to give you some time,
bro.
I knew you hadn't picked one.
I forgot about this. I forgot that this is a stick. Let's look at this. Okay, Brentford Wolves.
Just make it Arsenal Burnley because nobody's gonna watch it anyway. They can't watch it.
All right, guys. James's pick of the week is clearly Watford Norwich. Clearly Watford Norwich.
Ooh,
like that's
a 6-pointer, huh? Relegation 6-pointer here.
That ticks literally all of the boxes. So it's dumpster fire teams, two dumpster fire teams, relegation implications. They're real close to each other. Like this is levels. It's got everything. It's got relegation. It probably doesn't have any goals. That's probably the only thing it doesn't. It's not gonna have is goals because both of these teams are just refuse. But yeah,
who keeps the ball in this game? Like who keeps the ball in it? I actually am interested to see where does the ref hold onto the ball?
Could Stuart Atwell please be the ref in this match? Can I get Stuart Atwell and like, oh man, I'm all about this. Yeah. Watford Norwich. Definitely tuning in on Friday for that match. Probably be like 3 p.m. Eastern. Probably on Peacock because NBC hates us. But yeah, that's all we got. That's all we got for tonight. Come back next week and we'll give you some spicy takes about that Watford Norwich match that I probably won't watch. But until next time, but we really do appreciate if you're still listening and we haven't convinced you yet to hit that subscribe button. Clearly my desperate plea here at the end of this podcast or this end of this video is going to convince you to hit that subscribe button. So hit that subscribe button, give us a like, follow us on your favorite podcasting platform, however you're listening to us. We really appreciate it. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you hated. And we will talk about it next week. But until that time, that man up top with me on the top row if you're watching on YouTube. The annoying voice person, if you're just listening to it on the podcast, is at KSBradG. At KSBradG. Down below me, if you're watching on YouTube, on the bottom row by himself with the beautiful sultry tones, that's at Whiteheart_Sean. Sean spelled normally. And then I'm at James Tiffany. So hit me up on Twitter. Tell me why you think I'm ugly. Whatever. I don't care. Tell me why you think my hair is beautiful. But until next time, we collectively are redcard_radio, and that's all I got for this week. Brad, you look like you're chomping at the bit to say something.
No, I was just going to add in that, Champions of Europe fan, KSBradG.
Champions of Europe fan.
We know who we are.
We ain't got no history. All right, that's it. We're out. Y'all have a good evening. We will see you all next time.